New industrial corridors, smart cities, public-private partnerships in coal, a regulator for the highways and investment allowances to kickstart capital expenditure. Plenty of announcements for the infrastructure sector in the budget, but are they enough to revive the ailing sectors in this space? That's our debate tonight on We Mean Business, and joining us is a power-packed panel. Sanjay Sethi, Senior Executive Director and Head of Infrastructure at Kotak Investment Banking; Sumant Sinha, Chairman and CEO of Renew Power; Pradeep Singh, Managing Director of IDFC Projects. All of them join in from the capital. From Mumbai, we have Parvez Umrigar, the Group Director at Gammon; Samiran Chakravarti, Chief Economist at Standard Chartered Bank; and Manish Agarwal, Executive Director of PricewaterhouseCoopers India, joins us here in the Mumbai studios. Before we begin our debate, let me remind you, the viewer, that you can now participate on We Mean Business. All you need to do is go on our second screen, which means you have to download the NDTV app. You can then tap on the We Mean Business a link. You can participate on our show by asking us a question. You can also vote on the questions that are there on your screens. You can give in your opinions, and through the course of the show, of course, we will try and answer all of them, or rather most of them, that we can. I want to begin this debate, in fact, with Mr. Umrigar. So first question, really, are you happy? Was there enough of a thrust on infrastructure, or could the Finance Minister have done more?
As far as infrastructure is concerned, we firstly look upon the budget as a reaffirmation of the political commitment. In that sense, once again listening to the highly optimistic figure, but a reiteration of $1 trillion figure is something that we want to listen to. The major thing is that the recognition government has of the urgency of having a dispute resolution mechanism in place, because that's otherwise going to hurt the entire PPP industry as it enters the second decade in the country. Otherwise, the areas that I would have liked to listen more to are the more specific financials, especially on the debt side. The unconditional allowance of forex loans in future, which today is a limitation when you want to refinance. And I would have loved to see the reintroduction of the Section 23G, which in the earlier regime Mr. Chidambaram himself has done away with.
Right. Manish, any specifics that the Finance Minister didn't do that you would have liked him to have done this budget?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with Parvez that, largely it was a reiteration of several things that have been in the pipeline, some in the last 6 months, some over last several years, and, all of them were reiterated together at the same go. So there isn't, too many new things. The ones that are there, I think the clarity on its implications will emerge over time. What will be the role of the road regulator, and some of those things. As that becomes clear, one will know the impact that it will have.
Right, and we'll talk about those specifics in a while. But Sanjay Sethi, any particular reforms that could have rekindled growth in a big way that the Finance Minister actually missed out? A space where you could have created some sort of tailwinds and given a boost to a sector, possibly.
I don't think the Finance Minister really had the fiscal space to do more than he's done in the budget. Having said that, there is a lot that can be done going forward as we improve our fiscal condition. Clearly the sector needs a lot of push. We have a crisis on equity, we have a crisis on debt. We have to look at each sector more closely to find out as to what's wrong and what can be done to revive these sectors. The $1 trillion investment in the 12th five-year plan is a laudable objective. Half of that is expected to come in from the private sector. 1 year down into the 12th five-year plan, I don't think we are anywhere near the mark. So a lot can be done for sure. Industry demanded perhaps something on the ATIA MAT provisions, so that we could potentially form more capital out of the profits of the infrastructure business. We have issues on private equity, drying up for this sector. We have an issue on additional debt funding into this sector. So there are a lot of problems that need to be set right. But I don't know whether budget is the right forum. I think a lot of the policy initiatives that the Finance Minister talked about are work in progress and have been in discussion and in formulation for a while. So I think a lot will depend on where do we move from here.
Right, Samiran, from a macroeconomic standpoint, how do you look at this budget, especially for the infrastructure sector? And is there anything at all that could revive the capex cycle, that could get companies to start investing again?
Well, to my mind, there are three problems, particularly with the infrastructure sector, and unfortunately, none of these three can be tackled directly through the budget. So one problem to my mind is high interest rate. The second problem is extremely high debt equity ratios for infrastructure firms. And third is delayed approval for certain kinds of projects. Now, none of these can directly be tackled by the budget, but what could have been done through the general budget is to create the optimism or to maintain the optimism in equity markets, which would have led infrastructure companies to probably raise more equity, cleaning up the balance sheets and getting ready for the next capex cycle by leveraging more. I think where the problem will happen is that regardless of all the announcements that he has made, my fear is that the progress on capex in infrastructure might be slow, just because companies will not be able to leverage themselves any further.
Right. Mr. Singh, Pradeep Singh, before we actually start talking about each of the specific sectors and what has been done, Samiran, of course, mentioned the two key impediments, and that's interest rates and, of course, what really needs to be done, will have to be done from the Reserve Bank of India's standpoint, but also this whole issue of increasing the surcharge on Indian companies to 10% on those who earn more than 10 crore rupees. Is that also going to further derail the capex cycle?
I think it's kind of unrealistic to expect the budget really to be a major piece of action as far as infrastructure is concerned. I mean, infrastructure sector has challenges which are really one of real economy, of approvals, of implementation, and so on. And the budget, given the mandate of what it is, it's a financial statement of the government. You can only expect so much from the budget to help the infrastructure sector along. The finance minister, however, having said that, did indeed make several policy announcements or policy kind of announcements within the budget. He talked about the coal sector introducing public-private partnerships. He talked about the road sector introducing a regulator. He talked about bidding out more projects, 3,000 kilometers in the next 6 months, and so on.